Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachoya Ashtotra Shatashi Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we were reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, titled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 28, Pranjana becomes a woman in the next life. And we're on text 37. So please repeat after me. Shita, Ushna, Vata, Varshani, Shut, Pipase, Priya, Apriya, Apriye, Sukha, Duke, Iti, Dvanvani, Ajayat, Samadarshanaha, Shitoshna, Vatavarshani, Chutpi Pase Priya Priye, Sukaduke Iti Dvanvan, Jayat Samadarshana. Shitoshna Vata Varshani Chutpi Pase Priyapriye Sukaduke Iti Dvandvan Jayat Samadarshanaha Shitoshna Vata Varshani Chutpi Pase Priyapriye Sukaduke Iti Dvandvan Jayat Samadarshana Shita, cold. Ushna, heat. Vata, wind. Varshani, and rainy seasons. Chut, hunger. Pipase, and thirst. Priya, pleasant. Apriye, and unpleasant. Sukha, happiness. Dukkhe, and distress. Iti, thus. Dvandvani, dualities. Ajayat, he conquered. Samadarshanaha, equipoised. Is it equipoised or equipoised? Okay. Either or either? Okay. Equipoised or equipoised? Either or either. Okay. Alright, so translation and commentary. There's Divine Grace, HG Bhakti Swami Prabhupada. Through austerity, King Malaya Dwaja in body and mind gradually became equal to the dualities of cold and heat, happiness and distress, wind and rain, hunger and thirst, the pleasant and the unpleasant. In this way he conquered all relativities. Purport. I think that's a Gujarati, huh? Chaitanya Charitamrita? Okay. Purport. Liberation means becoming free from the relativities of the world. And thus one is self-realized. He has to undergo the dual struggle of the relative world. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to conquer all relativities through tolerance. Lord Krishna points out that it is the relativities like winter and summer that give us trouble in the material world. In the winter, we do not like taking a bath. But in the summer, we wish to take a bath twice, thrice, or more a day. So in India, even now, it's not like you have automatic heat. You know, you just turn on the hot water faucet and then hot water comes. But so yeah, what to speak of back then? It was all cold water automatically. So that's what Prabhupada's saying here, right? In the winter, because automatically it's cold, people I don't like to bathe, it's so cold. But in the summer, they once, twice, 3 times a day, right? Cold, nice, and it's hot. Just like I visited this devotee's house in Kolkata, and I visited there once. Yeah, nice family, and we stayed there for a few days. Mukunda Charna, Prabhu, and myself, before going to Mayapur, and anyways, Bengali family there, and then I came back some time ago, and they were telling me, oh yeah, we just installed this heating system, where it automatically gives hot water in the shower. It was like a Geyser. Yeah, geyser. And it was it was an advancement in their household, They said, yeah, we just got it, So. Thus, Krishna advises us not to be disturbed by such relativities and dualities when they come and go. The common man has to undergo much austerity to become equipoised before dualities. One who becomes agitated by the relativities of life has accepted a relative position and must therefore undergo the austerities prescribed in the Shastras to transcend the material body and put an end to material existence. King Malayadwaja underwent severe austerities by leaving his home, going to Kulachala, taking his bath in the sacred rivers, and eating only vegetables like stems, roots, seeds, flowers, and leaves, avoiding any cooked food or grains. These are very, very austere practices. In this age, it is very difficult to leave home and go to the forest or the Himalayas to adopt the processes of austerity. Indeed, it is almost impossible. Period. If one is even advised to give up meat eating, drinking, gambling, and illicit sex, one will fail to do so. What then would a person do if he went to the Himalayas or Kulachala? Such acts of renunciation are not possible in this age. Therefore, Lord Krishna has advised us to accept the Bhakti Yoga process. Bhakti Yoga will automatically liberate a person from the dualities of life. In Bhakti Yoga, Krishna is the center and Krishna is always transcendental. Thus, in order to transcend dualities, one must always engage in the service of the Lord, as confirmed by Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam chayo vibhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. If one is factually engaged in the service of the Lord, Bhakti Yoga, he will automatically control his senses, his tongue, and so many other things. Once engaged in the Bhakti Yoga process with all sincerity, one will have no chance of falling down. Even if one falls down, there is no loss. One's devotional activities may be stunned or choked for the time being, but as soon as there is another chance, the practitioner begins from the point where he left off. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshudhanamaditam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Karitavachavan Bhangam Nangayate Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Indiritarana Vansha Kapudribesha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse is, in purport, is talking about the great austerities that King Malayadwaja underwent, his becoming equal to the dualities of cold and heat, happiness and distress, wind and rain, hunger and thirst, the pleasant and the unpleasant. So out there in the Kulachala, is out the forest. And So this is, I could say, an important lesson that is stressed over and over again in the Srimad Bhagavatam and all of our books. This idea of tolerance, matra sparshas tukonteya shitoshna shukaduka da agama payano nityastam stikshas abharta. So the shitoshna sukaduka, so the happiness, the distress, and all these different dualities, yeah, they need to be tolerated. One shouldn't become disturbed by them. And Prabhupada gives an example in the purport to that Matra Sparshas Tukonteya verse in the Bhagavad Gita. He says that, also mentioning, it mentions here in the purport about, it's not that one hesitates to take a bath, even though it's winter. And of course, Prabhupada's referring to the reference being there's just cold water. So one doesn't hesitate, they just... they don't... Javeda Prabhu says they may hesitate, but eventually they do it. They do it, yeah, because it needs to be done. They need to be cleaned. It's not that, okay, well, hey, you know, I woke up early. What's another principle of civilization? To rise early, before sunrise, which automatically means, yeah, the sun's not up, it's cold. So to think, so a person doesn't think, okay, well, it's just too cold in the morning, so I'm just going to, wait until the sun rises, until it's burning high in the sky, and then I'll get up and I'll take my bath, my cold. But they do it automatically in the morning, rising to engage in spiritual activities. So yeah, that's there. And also, Prabhupada gives example of cooking. He specifically mentions, said a woman, she doesn't hesitate, or she doesn't not fulfill the duties of cooking, even though it's summer, it's hot. It gets really, really hot, but she goes in the kitchen and cooks. Now, of course, people wonder, nowadays people want, anyways. So, yeah, matra sparshas tukonteya shitoshna sukadukada. So this is a lesson that is may be difficult to learn for people to learn, but it's an essential lesson to learn how to become tolerant, and how to become equipoise, samadarshanaha. So in the Bhagavad Gita also there's that famous verse, right? Vidya vinaya sampane brahmane gavahastani shunichaiva swapakecha pandita samadarshana. So the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater. So they see the soul, they see the super soul, residing in all these bodies, right? Samadarshana, equal vision. So one time Srila Prabhupada was in India, and actually Prabhupada got a lot of criticism in India from his godbrothers, one, but also from the general public. People, oh, you're making these Westerners into Brahmins, giving them the thread and giving them sannyas and all of these things that all of these people in India thought that, well, to be an American, to be born in America, that means you're automatically disqualified. That's their conception. Or anywhere else in the world besides India. But Prabhupada didn't accept that, and we don't accept that, and it's not there in the Vedic literature. So anyways, Prabhupada was dealing with this criticism, and specifically Prabhupada would also get criticized for criticizing false gurus and swamis and saintly people of India, or so-called saintly people of India. So one time there was a group of Indian guys, and they're meeting with Srila Prabhupada, and they started getting quite critical, right face to face with Srila Prabhupada, and criticizing him. Why are you criticizing all the holy men of India? And on and on and on. eventually these personalities were saying, these Indian men were saying, every acharya has their contribution. You know, what's your contribution? And they're also being, criticized. Probably, what's your contribution? What's your contribution? And these guys even went so as far to criticize Vyasadeva on some. I'm forgetting the exact reference why they went so far to do that. But Prabhupada was getting upset, and he said, "How am I supposed to talk to you? Now you're criticizing Vyasadeva, Srila Vyasadeva." But anyways, they're saying, "What's your contribution? What's your contribution?" Demanding Prabhupada to say, "What's your contribution?" And they're also, important thing. They're telling Prabhupada that you're not samadarshanaha. You do not have equal vision, because you're criticizing all these people of India and so on. You don't have equal vision. And Prabhupada was saying, "Well, I'm not claiming to have equal vision." That's a high level. He said, I see the differences, and therefore I say this person's a rascal, this person's not a rascal. I have to say this. So then, again, they're demanding what their contribution is, and Srila Prabhupada said, my contribution is that I have made Krishna consciousness available all throughout the whole entire world. And despite people's background, despite people's upbringing, despite people's ethnicity, I have made Krishna consciousness available all over the world. That's my contribution. And then Srila Prabhupada said, and that's my samadarshanaha. That's me, my scene with equal vision, not like you. So Prabhupada seen with equal vision that everybody has the opportunity to become Krishna conscious. And this is coming from the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Kirata Hundar, what is that? Yeah. So, saying that these different people, and these are referring to different places in the world, whatever. China, this place, that place, so many different places in the world, the Bhagavatam verse is referring to. It says that these persons, they could become purified by taking shelter of a devotee, of a surrendered devotee. They could become Krishna conscious. So that's where Prabhupada's and all of our acharyas are coming from, that Krishna consciousness could be spread throughout the world. So that's his samadarshana. So also much of our advancement in Krishna consciousness is the ability is there within our could say our particular mentality. Like Srila Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Instruction, he says that the attitude of the follower that determines the advancement of the follower. The attitude of the follower depends on the advancement of the follower depends on the attitude of the follower. So, in relation to service, what it could be, there's so many services. I mean, that's what it means to be a devotee. It means to engage in service, right? There's the bhakta, the devotee. There's the process of bhakti, engaging in devotional service, and then there's Bhagavan, right? There's Krishna. So the devotee, the service, and Krishna are the spiritual master, and the devotees. So the different services we do, they're purifying, obviously, but also they have to be done in a certain mood. They have to be done to get the highest result. Say, bhava, grahi, janardana. That Krishna, he sees the mood in which it's done. Service is done. So in relation to book distribution, for example, so much of book distribution is having to do with the particular attitude of the book distributor, actually. Of course, that's not the full. Reason somebody takes a book or doesn't take a book, but so much of it depends on the attitude of the book distributor, how they see things, how they see the world, how they see other living entities. Are they seeing them samadarshanaha? Are they seeing them as a spirit soul? Are they just seeing them as a body? And there's a big difference. You see someone as a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaya vangsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. If we're in that mentality of seeing others as Krishna's parts and parcels, that means we are seeing how we are intimately connected with them. And therefore, we want to help them. There are lost brothers and, I say sisters, there are lost family, right? We want to try to help them. And that obviously requires for us to be Krishna conscious, right? We have to be conscious that Krishna, they're part and parcel of Krishna. But also this attitude of like people are attracted by happiness, by happy people. People are actually attracted to happy people. And you see somebody and they're selling something on an infomercial or whatever. And if the person is able to, is actually happy, or if they're just, have a good script and they look like they're happy, they're a good actor. Oh yeah, this guy looks pretty happy. I mean, maybe I should buy that. So you could say we're distributing books, right? And we're saying, yeah, this will make you happy, right? This will, in essence, or practically, yeah, that's what we say. That's one of the things we're claiming. So if we are experiencing the happiness or the bliss of Krishna consciousness, then that will become easier. It'll be easier to sell the product. So that's one thing that was referring to the attitude. Okay, how we see people, how we are experiencing Krishna consciousness ourselves, right? But also coming into the, you could say, battlefield or to the arena in the attitude that, yes, of confidence. It's important to be confident too. Of course, you can't be. I know some book distributors are really confident, like almost confident to the point where somebody might punch them, try to punch them, because they're so confident. Maybe what's kind of cocky, but to be careful. But confident in the sense, like for example, a boxer, there's a phenomenon going on within the sport of boxing. Now you have two opponents. There's they're coming out into the ring, and there's if one guy, the whole idea is they're trying to intimidate each other, by looking in each other's eyes and trying to scare the other person. And in other words, they're trying to break the person's confidence that, yeah, actually, I have no chance against this guy, and I'm probably going to lose. They're trying to, do that. So similarly, if one goes out on book distribution and they think, oh yeah, I don't really have a chance out here, and what am I going to do? And I'm just kind of a small timer or something. Then that's not really a positive attitude, and that's not really going to help the situation actually. Just like in the days, Harikesh Prabhu, under him there's so many books going out. And I remember reading something that he wrote in his days of managing and pushing book distribution. He said that he was in a particular temple. He went to a particular temple and he was, whatever, the leader there, GBC there or something. And he said that devotees were kind of like in a negative mood. They're walking around, yeah, we can't really distribute books, and it's kind of hopeless, and these people are hopeless, and how are we ever going to do it? And then he started to say, when I was reading what he was writing, he was saying how I went on a campaign. I started going around and saying, it's looking good. We can do it. And we're going to do it. And he said that he got 2 devotees on his side with this campaign, and then they started going around, yeah, we're going to do it. And he said from that, of course there's many other things involved in the equation, but he was saying that helped. And he said that over time they were distributing like 10 times more books than they were before. And they become one of the main leaders actually in the movement, book distribution. Huh? The leaders, yes. So having that, now of course, like one time I went there was a time, I remember when I first joined there, I was going out with Tota Gopinath, brahmachari here, used to be here. He's still a devotee, he's in Utah, yeah. What's that temple called? Spanish Fork. So we were going out one time, and I really loaded my backpack. It was like really packed, full of books. So we're walking out, and I was saying, maybe I brought too many books. I'm kind of overloaded here, and I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to do this. And then he chided me, and he said, no. He said that's not a good mentality. It's good that you brought so many books, and you should have faith that Krishna will help you, distribute these books. Your spiritual master will help you distribute these books. Prabhupada will help you. Not that you kind of like go out thinking you're going to lose, So I appreciated that. And just, anyways, another little thing about book distribution. But as Vaisheshika Prabhu, he has this saying. He has many little what do you call those? Sayings, pithy statements. But he has this saying. Okay, the more you show, the more you sell. Common one. He's probably repeated it a lot. Devotees have heard it. It's actually it's obviously true. He's saying it. And it's a profound statement, actually, that the more you show, the more you sell. And that means, it could be seen in different ways. That, for example, we may be in an extremely busy place, like at a college, university, for example. There's a lot of people actually going by, thousands at times, right? Hundreds, thousands, in normal circumstances. So now, if a devotee is sitting there, as Vijay Prabhu does, and everybody who has a book table, they try to call people over. Here's a card, here's an invitation. They get people to come somehow, and they show them books. Now, if you have one devotee on this side and one devotee on this side, and the devotee on this side is like trying, showing the book as much as possible to as many people as possible, and you have the devotee on the other side not showing the book as much as possible, and maybe even not showing hardly, then asleep under the table or something, then more you show, the more you sell. It makes sense. And there's this one devotee. He's on the East Coast. I'm forgetting his name. He's by ethnicity he's Indian fellow, but not Shastrakrit. Shastrakrit's really good too. Mount Mahotsa, not Shastrakrit. It's another person. No, not Mangalarti. He's I'm forgetting his name, but he's a pretty big It might be Karuna Sindhu, but there's one of those devotees. Somebody was telling me, that this devotee, he's really good, and one of the things he does, he just approaches everybody like absolutely makes no no distinction. It's just like everybody just approaching him, And of course, he's very enthusiastic. I'm sure many things contribute to his distributing a lot of books, but that's one of them. He approaches a lot of people. If we're in a busy location, then to not approach people, we'll distribute less. But also in relation to the more you show, the more you sell, to analyze, to try to figure out by our intelligence what place is the busiest place I could situate myself in. So if we go to a place and it's just, I know now because of what's going on, it's a lot of people are staying home and so many things like that. And some places are kind of ghost towny, businesses are shutting down, all types of stuff like that. But amazing. I mean, anyways, I drove down Garnett and I was like so surprised. So many businesses are shutting down. But whatever the case is, just try to find the most busy place and situate ourselves there. And follow this principle. Why? Because the more you show, the more you sell. If sitting in one location, we're sitting there for 2 hours, for example, and I don't know, whatever, 50 people go by, whereas we sit in another location and 200 people go by, then more people are seeing. So, anyways, so just as Mullah Dwaja here is saying the dualities, he's transcending them. By his Krishna consciousness. So we also, book distribution is a wonderful way to endeavor and try to, transcend the dualities. For example, like rejection. It's just part of the service. Book distribution means we're gonna get rejected many times. But that shouldn't be a surprise. Like, oh man, I went out and I got rejected so many times. Like, oh, well, what's the big surprise? This world is existing practically. Yeah, it's existing for people who want to reject Krishna and Krishna consciousness. That's what it's all about. Maya means. Automatically, people who are in Maya means rejecting Krishna consciousness. So it's no surprise that when we go out, or when devotees go out, it's, there's some rejection. Yeah, that's what people want. That's what people, when they're Maya, they reject Krishna. So we shouldn't take it seriously. Oh yeah, I'm being rejected. Well, so what? Surprise, surprise. Welcome to the material world. Jesus Christ was also rejected to the point of being crucified. Haridas Thakur, so many others were rejected. So, but instead of focusing on all the rejection, we could focus on, hey, I met some nice people. Whether it was 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, whatever. I met some nice people, they took some books, and that is the success. Because sometimes, I had this issue actually, I was at a college giving a class. It was kind of like the boxing arena. I was giving a world religions class, but for some reason, sometimes it's easier to give class depending on the audience. It's kind of more reciprocation, or easier, or harder. So in the class, there was a few people in the class who were just really seemed not receptive at all, and almost kind of scowling at me. And because they're atheistic people, agnostic people, Christians who don't agree with you, whoever it is, So for some reason, my mind, was scanning the room, and for some reason, I kept on focusing on these people who were giving me negative, and it was actually made it a lot more difficult, service. But if I was to kind of more focus on the receptive people, it would be easier, So that's also there. So, yeah. Now, one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So this is a question, an answer to Arjun's, Prabhupada says in the purport, 1426, chapter 14, text 26. He says that this verse here is an answer to Arjun's third question. And this question was, what is the means of attaining to the transcendental position? And Krishna says here, Mamchu, to engage in devotional service. So, whatever people, in Krishna conscious, people may have difficulties, people may have struggles, and that's just in many ways, so many ways, normal. But how do we overcome them? How do we come to the transcendental position? Well, we continue in devotional service. We don't overcome them by stopping. We overcome them by engaging in devotional service. And then eventually we could come to this platform, the transcendental platform, in which we are, firmly situated in Krishna consciousness, and therefore, and that is the real pleasure of the spiritual master, because the whole principle of Krishna consciousness, right? Yasya prasada, Bhagavat prasada. We are endeavoring to please the spiritual master, and by his mercy we make advancement. And his greatest pleasure is that he sees us successful in Krishna consciousness. That's the pleasure of the spiritual master. So by following the process, we will eventually come to that stage gradually. And then aside from that, his greatest pleasure also is that we give what we have received. In other words, we try to extend ourselves as far as possible to trying to encourage people in Krishna consciousness, give Krishna consciousness to others, right? As Prabhupada would quote in India a lot of the time, Brahmati, what is it? Bharati Brahmati Hoila Manusya Janmajar, right? That you become perfect, and then by following the instructions, by understanding the instruction, and then you spread it for the welfare of others. So, all right. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay.
I was just, you were saying how the more you show, the more you sell. And we just go out and we depend on Krishna. So we had a funny experience, this is a number of years ago, obviously. We were in Michigan, and there's only 3 devotees. And in the morning, we were in a parking lot. In the afternoon, early evening, we went to the state fair. After we're done with this, then we went to the mall in the afternoon, and then in the early evening we went to the state fair. And in those days, I don't recommend it, but it has its advantages and disadvantages. We used to, because what do you do at 9 o'clock at night? Stores are closed. We used to go to the the drive-in movies theater.
Mm.
Now I can tell you some drive-in movie stories, but the funny thing is, so on the way back to the temple, we're driving along the freeway. We stopped it's about 10 o'clock at night, and we stopped to change drivers. And a guy saw this car pulled over, and thought, oh, well, maybe they're... So he pulled over to help. He was a good Samaritan. So while we're shifting drivers and getting some prasadam, I said, well, I'll go talk to this guy. He pulled over. He's a nice guy. We're waiting, So I went over and gave him a book. And he looked. He said, sweet Jesus. He said, how many of you guys are there? Because somehow or other, he met a devotee at the parking lot, and he said no. He met a devotee at the mall who said no. But it was just the 3 of us, and Krishna arranged it. Then he met a devotee at the state fair, and he said no. And he said, my gosh, I pulled over on the freeway at 10 o'clock at night, and one of you guys, he said, when I get home, I'm going to open my fridge, and one of you guys are going to jump out. He said, I might as well get a book now. I can't escape you guys. Yeah. And he was actually a nice guy, and he bought a book, but 5 times he'd said no to a devotee. Mm. So I remember another devotee told me, they're not going anywhere. Yeah. We're their only hope. They're going to keep going around and around and around until they meet a devotee, give a donation, take a book, and somehow they get on that conveyor belt that gets them out of there. So we should never be discouraged. They're not going anywhere, and that's our job. And Krishna will arrange it. I mean, we'll talk about it later on. You've all heard it. But Krishna will arrange everything. Just go out. Go out and meet the people and let the magic begin. Because we have no idea where they're going, where they come from, what's going to happen. But if we're not on the field, then the magic never happens.
Yeah, there was, I have two things to say about that. But Savas Prabhu, I think Tirtha Maharaj was telling me one time, but Savas Prabhu, he was serving there in Colorado, right, Denver? Yeah, temple president. Yeah, Sankirtan devotee. So Tirtha Maharaj was telling me how, Savas Prabhu was mentioning one time how, they would go out to different locations, park here, there, different places. And a similar thing happened that, people were wondering, man, there must be like so many of you guys. It's like, I see you guys everywhere. You're at the park, you're here, you're there. So that's there, yeah. In terms of people, they may have to encounter, devotees many times before they actually take a book. I was just thinking one time how we were in Balboa Park. Devotees were doing Harinam there. And then I went out with a few others, and we were going, we're walking in El Cajon, shop to shop and door to door. And we walked into this auto insurance place. And this guy, he said, actually, I just saw you guys, a few days ago at the park, Balboa Park, and now you're coming into my office. And, I offered him a book, and he didn't take it, but anyways. Next time, yeah. But there was one case where she's still a devotee. She actually, she makes garlands here every Saturday or something. But I was out distributing books. She first got a book from Tirtha Maharaj's Shastradhan rack. And then fast forward, and then I was out distributing books at, what's that mall called? Fashion Valley Mall. I was walking around undercover, distributing books in the mall. And I was having a tough day. I wasn't, yeah. And, there wasn't many books going out. I was kind of having a hard time dealing with people, this and that. And so then, so I approached this person, and I said, oh, here's a book, Science of Civilization. And then she gives $5. And I said, okay, thank you very much. And I was thinking, oh, well, at least I did something and whatever. And I did a little more than that. But overall, it was kind of a tough day. So then I go back to the Krishna Lounge. And, we're having the lounge. And this person comes in. And then I was upstairs for some reason. They call me down. And then they said, oh, yeah, they said they got a book from somebody. So I come down, and, she's there. She came to the lounge. And this is another thing with Sankirtan. Sometimes because you approach so many people, you don't recognize the people. It's kind of like, so I wasn't really exactly recognizing. But anyways, then I remembered, I gave a book. So then since then, she was attending she'd never stopped attending, the lounge, Sunday feast, and so for many years now, she's been doing some service, garlands, and so So on that tough day, got a book, and so.
Prabhupada said, he would be satisfied. Sure, Bhakti. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Maybe it's dead.
Anyway, Srila Prabhupada said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta told him that if he could find one person who was serious about Krishna consciousness, he would have been satisfied, And we never know who that one person is going to be. Just like, Prabhupada said the same, if I could find one sincere person. So you never know who that one sincere person is. You don't know where they're going to go. You don't know what's going to happen. Chatur Bahu. He's a householder in Michigan. He's my age now. Here's how he became a devotee. He walked into the temple ready to join. We said, how did you got a book? The way he got a book, here, I'll be short, but we'll rewind the thing. His sister is in a parking lot in Michigan at the Walmart or whatever. Meets a devotee. Devotee says what he's doing. He's a monk. This and then she said, here, but here's $5. I don't need a book, but I appreciate what you're doing. You know, the world needs more people like you. So the devotee, just, you know, inspired by Krishna and kind-hearted, just put a coming back, dropped it in her grocery. She's got her grocery, and he just dropped it in her bag. Said, hey, check it out. She took it out. Forgot all about the book, forgot all about meeting the devotee. And, you know, sometimes people, I save paper bags, you know, to use later. She just folded up the bag. With the book, she didn't even see it, folded it, put it in the thing. Sat there for about 3 years. She was moving from Michigan to Los Angeles. Packed everything in boxes, van, this and that. Oh, I got a bunch of loose spoons, you know, kitchen stuff. Threw it, opened up a paper bag, didn't see the book. Threw all the spoons, bag, and books at the bottom. Loaded it in the U-Haul. She and her husband drove it all the way out here. Her brother, Bhakti, you know, he came to help his sister unpack. So he's moving boxes, couches, sofa, putting stuff in the kitchen drawers, bottom of a paper bag. Said, hey, there's a book here. She said, can I have it? She said, where did that come from? Take it, you know. Took it home, read it, became a devotee. Distributed in Michigan, 1,500 miles here. 5 years later, boom, made a devotee.
Bhakti Chuck did a lot of
I mean, there's a lot of far-out people.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting. They're waiting for the Vaishnavas.
Yeah, one last. There was a German boy here at STS.
Just want to say,
Yeah.
we should never be discouraged.
Yeah.
Vaishya's mantra, and it's true, you just put your feet on the ground. The fact that you put your feet on the ground out there and you tried. That's it. That's 100% success.
Yeah, there was this German boy. He was going to STSU recently, and anyways, started coming to the lounge, and quite a, you know, pious kind of guy, good guy. But yeah, he was showing more and more interest, and he was living actually right down the street, coming to the lounge. So yeah, we were trying to kind of help him, cultivate him, and yeah, fast forward, he goes back to Germany, and he's going to that Germany farm, Singhachal or whatever. And yeah, he's sending us pictures, you know, where Tilak and Dodi, and you know, he's spending a little time at the farm, and then he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Vrindavan with the devotees," you know, and so it was a whole, you know. It's nice.
Here's another one. You never know. You never know. So never be discouraged. You don't know what's going to happen. We opened up the zoo. We wanted to open up the zoo in Detroit for book distribution. We went to, you know, Amarendra Prabhu, the great hero, the mighty arm, you know, fought it. We went before the judge. The judge said, listen, you got to work it out. They have a right to be there. You've got your traffic control issues, and, you know, okay, fine, they can't block the right of way and all that. But they got a right to be there. Work it out, you know. If you bring it to court, you're going to spend a bunch of money and you're going to lose. I'm going to decide in their favor. So you got to work mediation. You got to work it out, right? So there it is. I got a message to write to the assistant city attorney for the city of Detroit. So I wrote a little application, what we wanted to do. That was our contact. I got a letter back on the city of Detroit letterhead, you know, gold embossed and the whole thing. Dear Mr. Narayan, for many years, I'm quoting exactly, for many years I have been convinced of the holy mission of the Hare Krishna movement. That was his first sentence. Blew my mind. I called the guy on the phone. Turns out he got a Bhagavad Gita when he was in college. Didn't even read the whole thing. Saw the devotees chanting, took a little prasadam, liked what they were doing, read a little bit of Bhagavad Gita. Oh, that's, you know, valuable. 15 years later, that guy surfaced, and because of him, we got the zoo open. He said, just tell me what you want to do. He said, where do you want to stand? What do you want to do? Just tell me what you want. I'll write it up.
Wow.
You never know where my son got hit by on his bicycle, got hit by a car, went down to there used to be a hospital down here, Mission Bay Hospital. He was 6 years old. He's completely freaked. His foot's going this way, the bone, it was the real mess, you know? Completely freaked. They wheel him in. He's going into the radiologist, and he says, "Oh, Hare Krishna. Oh, he got a book, or he took prashad." Completely assuaged my son. Mukund and I, were there guys wheeling me into the AutoCAD thing or wherever that was? He says, you know, I was always kind of interested in spiritual life and what you guys are up to. You don't know.
Yeah. Jai. All right.
But if you don't go out.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.